Hey there, Careblazer. Welcome back to another video. I want to talk today about this idea of dignity and respect when you are providing hands-on direct care for your loved one with dementia. If you are like the majority of Careblazers that I talk to, one of the most difficult parts about actually caring for your loved one is actually providing that hands-on care. Trying to help your loved one when they're using the bathroom, helping your loved one get dressed, helping your loved one bathe or shower. It can be really difficult, and because it is so challenging and it can be frustrating and your loved one might try to resist, it's really easy for our behaviors to start to become rushed, to start to become basically like frustrating behaviors. It's totally normal. But I want to talk about this idea of how you might be able to change your approach so that those tasks are not so difficult. The thing is our loved ones with dementia respond many times based on what we're putting off, based on our nonverbal behaviors. And if you're going into a lot of care tasks already tense, already expecting that it's going to be a challenge, already nervous, not looking forward to it, we start acting in ways that our loved one is going to automatically start to push back. So I've done previous videos on kind of how to help your loved one take a bath and shower, how to help your loved one with toileting. I'll link those below, but I want to take a different angle today. And it's based on some comments I've been receiving just around this idea of dignity and respect toward the person with dementia and how to help them not feel so incompetent and needy. And I think when it comes to actually doing those really private tasks that we've been used to doing ourselves our whole lives, the topic of dignity and respect is more important than ever. So if you are a Careblazer who is struggling with giving your loved one a bath or a shower, helping them dress, helping them use the toilet, perhaps your loved one is pushing or punching or yelling or spitting when you're trying to do those tasks, or maybe your loved one is resisting doing those tasks altogether. They basically avoid it. It's like a really big deal if your loved one will take a shower. Maybe it's been weeks or months. Then this video is for you. I'm basically going to go over 5 things for you to keep in mind. So the first one I want you to keep in mind is get everything ready possible before the task. So let's say you have to help your loved one in the bath. Then make sure you have the soap and the towel in hand's reach so that there is never a moment that you have to actually leave your loved one to go grab these materials. Because it's not only just because it makes it go by faster, but it's also less time that your loved one, who may not totally understand everything that's going on, is sitting there in a private place in a really vulnerable state, kind of alone, without really knowing what to do. It can be pretty awkward, and it can actually be pretty scary for the person with dementia. So before you give any task, make sure you have everything you need in arm's reach as much as possible. If you're about to dress your loved one, make sure you have all the clothes you're about to help them put on right there in arm's reach. Tip number 2 is to be very matter of fact. So the more uncomfortable you are in the care task and delivering of the care task, the more uncomfortable your loved one's going to be, and the more likely it is that they are going to resist or have some difficult behaviors. So here I want you to try to think of yourself as maybe a healthcare worker whose job it is to provide that actual care task, or think of your loved one as if they were an infant and you are providing that care, right? There's a different mindset and a different approach when you are helping an infant change clothes than when you're helping your loved one with dementia change clothes. With an infant, it's kind of like, oh, this is expected, this is part of the deal. There's no sense of awkwardness about it. It's just what happens, right? But when we deal with people with dementia, because you've known that person for most of your life to be able to take care of themselves and do these things, it's filtered through our mind differently, like, oh, this is awkward, this is uncomfortable, and they pick up on all that. So as much as possible, get yourself in this frame of mind that either it's similar to caring for an infant, this is just part of the life cycle that they need help with right now, or as if you are a healthcare worker who's getting paid to do this direct task. You wouldn't be a paid healthcare worker going into a home doing these tasks if you felt very uncomfortable doing these things. It's just kind of like, this is my job, this is what I'm going to do, and that's it. Tip number 3 is to have conversation with your loved one as you give the task. It can be really uncomfortable and awkward if you are trying to help wipe your loved one's butt on the toilet or help, wash their skin in the shower, and it's just silent. And it's uncomfortable for your loved one, it's uncomfortable for you. So I want to encourage you to have a conversation. Your loved one might not be capable of maybe having the two-way conversation we think of normally when we're talking to other people, but maybe have a story ready, maybe have a joke ready, maybe just talk about something fun that you're looking forward to, or something interesting you saw on TV, or something about one of their favorite TV shows or movies. Think ahead of time and prepare, like, what can I talk about as I give them a shower today? Tip number 4 is to be as gentle as possible. Now, because a lot of the direct care tasks are quite uncomfortable to do, it's really easy to want to rush through them. Rush through them not only because both of you are uncomfortable, but rush through them because you just want to get through with it as quick as possible because it's challenging. Be careful, because sometimes that hurried state is perceived as kind of not wanting to do it, not comfortable doing it, and that it's not important. You're just trying to get through it as quickly as possible. It's also kind of scary for somebody with dementia who might not understand everything that's going on about why, when they're in this really vulnerable position where they're needing a lot of help with private things and private areas, you're somebody who's rushing around and going at things pretty quickly. It can be pretty scary. So just want to encourage you to take your time. And even though I don't truly know anybody who enjoys doing these things, I want you to try to put yourself in the position of, with as much love as you can muster, with as much patience and gentleness as you can muster, approach the care task with that. Sometimes even doing so, kind of picturing yourself like, what if there was another family member, a really good friend or a healthcare provider in that room with you, observing you. Sometimes when we are being observed by others, we tend to alter our behavior to be more kind and gentle and compassionate. And that might be something that can help you as you're approaching some of those care tasks. And my final tip, which is really important, is what kind of feeling are you giving? Right? You're a mirror for your loved one with dementia. If you're approaching any care task from a feeling of frustration, of stress, of impatience, of just anger that you're even in this position, it is going to come off. It's going to make it so much more likely your loved one's going to resist. And it reminds me of a really good quote by Maya Angelou. And the quote is, "People don't always remember what you say or what you did, but they always remember how you made them feel." This could not be more true for somebody with dementia who truly may not remember what you did or truly may not remember exactly what you said, but they remember the way you feel. And so if you are giving off all these feelings, what do you think is going to happen the next time you're trying to get your loved one to take a bath or a shower? They're probably not going to want to do it, or if they do it, they're probably going to be resisting or having some of those really difficult behaviors. Set yourself up for as much success as possible. What feeling do you have? What feeling do you want your loved one with dementia to have? It also reminds me of one of my most interesting and favorite studies. So there was this French scientist, some French doctor, who was treating a woman with a traumatic brain injury. And the woman had severe amnesia. She could not remember minutes later. So she had been working with this doctor for quite a while. And every time she met this doctor, it was like the very first time they met. She never remembered him. So one day he put a pin in his hand, and when he took his hand out to introduce himself, because it was always like she was meeting him for the first time, it pricked her hand and she pulled it away in pain. Right? So then the next time that woman came back for a follow-up appointment and he reached out his hand to shake her hand, she would not shake his hand. She refused to shake his hand. Now, why would that be if she had no recollection of ever meeting him before? So this was like in the early 1900s, like 1908, 1910, somewhere around there, that this kind of experiment happened. And he wrote a big paper on it. And it was one of the first indications that there is a subconscious memory happening, right? So even though your loved one's memory may seem totally impaired, there is a subconscious memory happening. And so the feeling you're giving your loved one when you're doing these difficult tasks is going to stay with your loved one. And I want these care tasks to be as smooth as possible for you. So just be mindful of the feeling you have when you're going into it and the feeling you're giving to your loved one with dementia as you're doing the task. Now I want to just throw in a bonus tip. So I guess it's tip number 6. Because the direct care task is such a difficult thing for many caregivers. Whenever you're doing something with your loved one that is challenging for them and that requires a lot of hands-on care from you, and especially if your loved one is somebody who tends to maybe punch or hit or grab or act out, I want to encourage you to give your loved one something to hold while you're doing the care task. If you're bathing your loved one, give them a wash rag to hold. If they're on the toilet, give them a book to hold. Give them anything to hold. Just keep their hands busy. It's going to make it more likely that they're going to be able to get through the task easier. It's going to make it less likely that they're going to act out. So Careblazer, how could you channel more dignity and respect and calm when you are delivering a care task to your loved one? I would love for those direct care tasks to be a bit easier for you and in the end, improve the relationship you have with your loved one with dementia. Let me know your own experiences below. I'll be back next week with another video. Until then, Careblazer, take care. Bye. Open your mind and encourage or give that care.